So I wanted to. Today is March 2nd. We're reading Collective Courage 67 to 69. We're gonna read a little bit of 66 before, and then I wanted to kick it off with Jackson Rising, um, page 80. Kyle, what's up with it? Welcome.
Hey, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm vibrating high, man. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, nice. It's you been outside? I keep seeing that background. I don't know how your background look.
Nah, this background is it's CGI. Nah, I haven't been outside yet. I need to, but I will. I will. I gotta go for a walk or something.
Yeah, get a little bit of serotonin.
Whoa, drop that science on him, brother. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So page like I said, page 79, or I said page 80, but there is one quote that I wanted to read on 79 that said the aim is to organize these workers into associations and unions to provide them with collective voice and power and improve their standard of living. And then there was another piece that I wanted to take from page 80 that said participatory budgeting to allow the residents of Jackson direct access and decision making power over the budgeting process in the city. So I thought these two were relevant because Jackson, uh, Cooperation Jackson, uh, focused on people assemblies, right? Peace Barrett, welcome, welcome. Um, and they created a plan to organize those people assemblies into a political strategy as well as economic strategies by starting certain cooperatives, starting certain groups that had specific tasks, and so that was one of their goals, is to make sure that one of the goals that was clear to everybody in the organization was to raise the standard of living for the workers, and raise their collective voice and power. And so they backed that up with participatory budgeting, which allowed for the residents direct access and decision making power over the money, right? So it's not just lip service saying like we want y'all to work together, come together, and have equal say, and then on the management side they make all the big decisions, and y'all are just left like, hey, we didn't vote for this. No, it's literally a one vote, one person democracy, and everyone has a say in it. So as we get into this reading, I just wanted to set that into your mind because participatory budgeting is something that also is concomitant with cooperatives, right? If if you want to have a cooperative, everyone is an owner. Everyone must know what's happening with the budget and where the money's going, and have a say in it. Did that get through? Did that make sense, guys? Did that stir any thoughts for y'all?
Um, I guess I just have a comment because I'm part of a union in San Francisco for audio and video. And it's definitely, there is people power. So like everybody does have a say, although there's different tiers. It's like, for me at the tier I'm at in 2 years, then I'll be at like journey person status. So then I'll get a voice and a vote. But currently, since I'm still in apprenticeship phase, then I can't, vote, but I can still make my voice heard within the system. But the hierarchy at the very top is there's still people on top who make the ultimate decision. So how is this different than that? Is it like completely equal for everyone involved?
Well, uh, it's the goal, or it's the ideal, and from there there's variations. As we read in
Mm-hmm.
different examples, every organization doesn't do it the same, but the goal is to maintain a certain level of democracy. As the size grows, um, different structures have to be put in place. And there have been examples in other books that I've read of even local um, local grocery co-ops that have expanded out here in Berkeley and Oakland that have deteriorated because they got so big that they weren't able to maintain that democracy, and the infighting got a little bit. Um, it slowed down the progress, and they weren't able to keep everybody up to speed. And some weren't even interested in staying up to speed, and so it became a case study in what happens when a successful co-op becomes large, and how do you maintain these levels, of um, democracy. And yeah, sometimes you have like a staggered approach where new people come in and they get some rights, they work more, give more to the company, then they get a higher level, and then eventually um, the highest level that there is. So I'm sure that folks have had to find different ways. I've never heard of an audio video co-op before. That's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a channel of, or it's a chapter of IATSE, but here in the Bay Area. So we service like the tech companies and like events and things like that. So what I'm hearing you say, I think, is that like the goal is like an egalitarian organization, but as it grows, it's like, how do you avoid all of those like politics and things like that happening? Is that possible, or is that, as you said, just
Um, yeah, I don't think it's erasable, no, because you're dealing with human nature,
Mhm.
um, and so there's dynamics with that. So yeah, I think it's just the ideal. You aim for the ideal, and try to remember that in all the decisions. Keep the vision of the organization clear, and if it steers from that, you know, it becomes kind of like a smaller habitat, if you will, or I forget the term, but a microcosm basically of where we live. In the country that we in, like there's supposed to be democracy, right? And then there's systems put in place that can filter that democracy and make it something less than that. And so you got to be careful for those mechanisms, I'm sure. Like when it becomes too bureaucratic or too just mysterious, for the common person to understand. Um, yeah, I'm sure there are wins. Like Mondragon is also a very big Spain co-op, and one of the biggest ever. And they have like billions in revenue, and so I don't know their inner workings, but they make it work, and I'm sure that there is some level of bureaucracy, but I think it's just like, yeah, staying to the principles of the organization. I think that's the best you can do, in my opinion. What do y'all think?
Um, I think one of the reasons I got really into this book club is because I've always been interested in business, and specifically um, early on in the Bay, like fell in love with the Rainbow Grocery Co-op. And I had some friends who have worked for them. And I think that, from what I've heard from them, they take care of their employees incredibly well. Like people have really nice benefits. People get paid like way more than what you would ordinarily get paid to, work at a grocery. Um, but they do seem to say that, the decision-making process can be at times like a little like bureaucratic and frustrating. Um, and to maybe tie it back to the reading today, and I don't know if I read on just a little bit extra, but it seems like one of the problems with the UNIA and in the Black Star line was that maybe Marcus Garvey had a little too much power and wasn't being clear in his financials. And maybe if more people had more of a participation and greater clarity into the like operatings of of those businesses, they might have proved to be more successful and like sustainable in the long term if more people had a vote. But it seems like he might have had too much power in it, and that might have been one of the downfalls of what was otherwise like a super visionary like co-op and business.
That's a great point. Um, right, human nature. No one is immune. You know, even our greats, we have to be metered in how we look at them, not to tear them down, but to recognize like maybe this, yeah, if he had someone else, and every great person has some people that's on their team that keep things going. You know, so one person holding it all is almost bound to holding all the decisions is almost bound to go somewhere left, you know, because you need that counsel, like folks to really keep you in line, financial counsel, you know, polls, like constantly surveying the community, like, you know, and that's resources to do that as well. Good point, Barrett. Anybody else? What do you think about the concept of the inevitability of, you know, less than ideal democratic situations in co-ops? Is it inevitable? Are there solutions for that? Does that question make sense? No. Basically, I'm asking like when we look at, and maybe we should just keep reading. But I was thinking of the concept of, you know, how do we, you know, we want the utopia of the most perfect situation, working conditions, democratic voting, participatory budgeting. You know, what is the um, best way to achieve that, and is it always going to be some con or some you know, less than favorable elements that we have to deal with, like
Well, let me
usurping
say,
of power and all of that?
yeah, let me say something. I think that depends on how long your view is. If you're going 7 generations ahead, those are just bumps in the road. So if your vision is that far, you keep moving, that's it. And every time you just get better.
Mm. Whew, Natalie came with that fire. Right, we talk about that 100-year plan, W.E.B. Du Bois. You know what I'm saying? How, are you really planning that far ahead? And that takes vision, but yeah, it's all bumps in the road. All right, let's keep reading. So yeah, 67. And like I said, early 66, I mean, late 66, Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Ship and Martin report that Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association made a model of cooperative economic development. Ship writes Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, produced an alternative cooperative model for black community development that has also been utilized by other groups, including the Nation of Islam and many black religious denominations. It shares many characteristics with the Mondragon. Oh, people was in the chat going off. Um, let me see. Your people didn't give you decision-making power, or you're not taking it. Okay, okay. Facts. Speaking of survey, yes, Shara, thank you for bringing that up. We are surveying our community as Repaired Nations, y'all, and the link is in the chat. This survey is to ask what you guys would like to see in our conference that we have coming up later this year. Um, we did our third annual one in October of last year, and it went well. It was virtual, and we had folks from all over in Ghana, New York, Mississippi, New Orleans, few other places, and we are expanding and hope to see you guys there. So if you guys don't mind, just go ahead to the chat and click on that link uh, that Sister Shayara just shared with us, and you know, after the session, take some time and fill it out. Thank you. Da da da. Okay, so um, the Mondragon. Yeah, I just wanted to read a little bit about the Mondragon. I had mentioned it earlier in terms of one of the longest running successful cooperatives. The Mondragon Corporation is a corporation and federation of worker cooperatives based in Basque region of Spain. It was founded in the town of Mondragon in 1956 by Jose Maria Adesmandiaria. I'm sorry if I messed it up. It's a very long name, but if y'all know Aris Mendes, is named after him, for those who are in the Oakland area or SF. And a group of his students at a, and if anyone can say his last name better, please help me. And in a group of his students at a technical college he founded, his first product was paraffin heaters. It was the seventh largest Spain company in terms of asset turnover and leading business group in the Basque Country. At the end of 2016, it employed 74,117 people in 257 companies and organizations in four areas of activity: finance, industry, retail, and knowledge. By 2019, 81,000 people were employed. All right, so just to kind of give y'all a scope, and in 2015, their revenue was 12 billion, and their total assets was 24 billion. Right, so cooperatives can get very big, y'all. And I know money isn't our only focus, but we do know economics cannot be removed from politics, right? So we gotta talk about it. Let's skip down to the bottom of 67. The Universal Negro Improvement Association was originally organized in Jamaica in 1914 as a mutual benefit society. Universal confraternity among the race with the mission to establish educational institutions and improve conditions for blacks everywhere. Right? So same idea as Cooperation Jackson. You know, getting the workers together to improve their condition. They have a common need and a common focus. Um, and that's very powerful to unify your goals. And we keep hearing that example. It was incorporated in New York in 1918. At its height, the UNIA was the largest African American political organization in the early 20th century. So, man, that was profound. So, let's go down to 68 and start at between 1920 and 1924. It's kind of like a few lines down from the top of the page. Between 1920 and 1924, however, UNIA businesses employed as many as 1,000 employees, right? So they got pretty big in their size. Stock certificates for both the Black Star Line and the Negro Factories Corporation sold for $5 per share. Individual member investors could buy up to 200 shares in the Black Star Line. The UNI newspaper, the Negro World, posted advertisements for stock in these businesses and published articles describing the progress of the businesses. So we see that people were invested. People were really putting in dough and seeing the vision of what Marcus Garvey was saying, and they were reaching a level that was undeniable. The headline read, "Negroes cooperating for Black steamship company success." During the time, Black press, specifically the Negro World, appears to have used the word cooperation a lot. On the other hand, Floyd Thomas notes that despite Garvey's endorsement of racial unity and pride, as well as collective economic development for African peoples, his social philosophy made quite a stir within the already volatile climate in 1920s Harlem. Garvey was extremely controversial, and while he used the language of cooperation, it is not clear how fully he embraced cooperative economics. Another interesting historical note to Garvey's failed economic attempts, particularly with the Black Star Line and connections with other economic visions at the time, is Du Bois' attempt to resurrect the idea of U.S. Africa commercial shipping line. So basically, he wrote the government after Marcus Garvey failed, and basically asked, because they seized the boats from Marcus Garvey, and he was trying to get those boats back, and basically all of that money that people put in, he was trying to make those stocks valid again, because once the government seized it, it made it invalid. So that's a lot to take in, right? Like, we look at what he was able to accomplish, and we look at that as a great milestone, and galvanizing support for a cause that was valid. Um, but one of my favorite words is praxis. the actual enaction of a philosophy or way of thinking or rhetoric, what have you. It's like the practice of it, and I feel like that is greater said, easier said than done. And so, although his intentions were good, like I said earlier, maybe if he had a counsel, Du Bois kind of criticized Marcus Garvey for his lack of business knowledge, and a lot of great people have big egos. I can imagine that Marcus Garvey was a confident and proud man. So I can imagine maybe somebody might have even suggested that to him, and maybe he just, I got this. Look all these people that came out to see me. Like, I don't need your help. I got this. And I don't know how it played out behind closed doors. But the thing to highlight is, and thank you, Shiara, you put $5 in 1924 was $82 by today's standard. So just to give you some context. But the thing to highlight with Marcus Garvey is that even his critics recognized that what he did was valuable, and somebody tried to salvage it, and they were at odds during their time of at the height of Marcus Garvey's ascension. Him and his critics were, definitely at odds, and some of his critics were very prominent. So who knows what it would have been if they had found a way to figure out how to find the middle ground of their extreme views on cooperation. But what's up, Z? What you got to say?
Oh, okay, my bad. I stepped away for a little bit because I want to tune in. Now I was just saying, yeah, Marcus Garvey, he was a powerful dude. And to that, he had people, but he wanted to take that leadership role. Like, hey, let me see if I could be the all-star and just wing it out by myself. So I just want to put my input on it with that. Feel me? But he had everything down pat. But he, like Jesus, he needed, you feel me? He needed, some partners to help him, or a team or a group.
Yeah.
That's so powerful, man. That's why we need to do it together. That's why you can't do it on your own, because everybody kind of bridges the other one's shortcomings.
Yeah, for real.
What's up, Kingdom?
Yo, everybody. Grand Rising. Great points, by the way. I mean, this is fire. Marcus Garvey is one of my all time, when you look at what he did, scalability, and you times it in the time that he did it, it's like he said numbers in movement generation and Black empowerment that, we can never match or top today. But I like to challenge us to conceptualize about the environment that he did this in. This was technically early 1900s, where the Black family, the Black individuals in America was still chattel, some cases chattel property. I mean, there were some legalities being pushed, but the average Black person was still walking around in fear. With the book club, we watched a film last night from the 1960s about in Louisiana, and it was still a lot of Black folks, getting stepped over at jobs, can't look at white folks in the eye, a lot of yes sir, no sir. And this was in the 60s. So at his time, I feel like Garvey felt like his whole movement was to show that we did have power, and that the thing about being a Garveyite is that he can do it from where he came from, you could do it too. And, just to step out in front, I felt like it was more of a tactic, just like all our greats, King, Malcolm X. I feel like they developed these tactics that are supposed to be emulated by the people, by us, in their steadfast, in their absence. And a lot of us get caught up in idolizing individuals when it's really the message that they push that they really want us to capture. And sad enough, we still fall into that trap today. But I would just like to add that challenge right there. Think about, in that time where Black folks were scared to look white folks in the eye in this country. And you have Marcus Garvey coming out here saying, Black men, Black women, we rise. Wasn't a lot about him. It was about that RBG. And I just wanted to add that. But go ahead, Brother Oz. Doing great job, brother.
Mm.
And great job, everyone, too. Great comments.
I was just saying something about that the other day. Like, we don't realize we actually kind of been at a standstill from wherever they fought at. You know, they got us where we at, and we like been kind of accepting what they've been throwing at us.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I do feel like we got to check our standards and, come to a consensus on what we will and won't go for, and what are the consequences for missteps by, opposing forces. I feel like all when we decide what we want, it's not about what other group is doing what, it's about what we're doing. And when people of other organized factions come together and say we don't like that, and then they come with how they gonna respond, it's felt, and I feel like that's something that Marcus Garvey was moving with. Like, we're not gonna bow down to the establishment. We're gonna create our own establishment. What's up, Tell? You got something else to say?
Yeah, just real quick, and just wanted to add to the point, like Garvey died alone in Jamaica. Like he didn't take none of that money. All the money that they generated, he died alone and broke, and of a broken heart. That's what he says, his notes. So I just wanted to add that point. A lot of our leaders, they died broke and poor, and they really want us as people and followers to follow the message, but not necessarily them. I'll stop at that.
I'll say, follow the message, don't follow them, right? That's beautiful. And that's why we're learning from different sources, y'all. We're not just pulling from one. We give thanks for the author, Jessica Gordon Nimhart. She pulled from different writers in their attempt to understand what was going on in their time, but also giving her own assessment. And we're able to give our own assessment on top of that based on their educated research. So we are blessed to stand on the shoulders of giants. What's up, Kyle? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to second Brother Tut about what he was saying as far as a lot of the leaders being tired and broken. I was at a special meeting last night with the Green Party. They had a candidate wanting to come in and, so since the redistricting, he wanted to fit into our party. So basically, a lot of our leaders was talking to him because he didn't really know which direction he wanted to go. He's a teacher. He don't know if he want to go back down to Southern California or if he want to stay in the Contra Costa district, basically to have a little stability as far as living. But a lot of our elder members, they're probably in their 60s and 70s, and they're like, they're tired. They're ready to see some change. They're ready to see something tangible to grab instead of symbolism. So they was telling the younger God not to just run just for symbolism or status, but they're tired. They want you to take the message of what they're saying. So I kind of understand that as far as the elders being tired, but as long as they see somebody willing to pick up basically the work, then they'll be willing to give you or lay out that knowledge. So if we got one now, then we better lay towards that leader, letting them know that we're willing to do the work, so they could, unpack that knowledge on us.
I say. Shayara said, right, learn from the whole experience. Yes. Raquel said, tangible change, not symbolism. So true. Yes. Substance. Substance. All of this is substance, y'all. I appreciate y'all perspectives. So much to reflect on. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Z, you got something to say?
I'm gonna say one more thing for it end. Everything was powerful, but it resonated with me because I feel like I'm not alone, and you feel me. I got a team. I got y'all. So my ideas are in it. My expansion. I feel like y'all my family. So I feel like I can contribute a lot. So, this is very helpful. That's it. I'm done.
Cool. Right. All right, fam. Thanks y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow. Same black time, same black channel.
Adios.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.